All right, and we're back. This is Hook and Ladder. Week 3. I've seen a lot of bad football today. But you know who didn't play bad? Georgia. Total domination of South Carolina. Got a little late score with third-team defense in, and
first touchdown they've given up all season.
Yeah, 48-7 against South Carolina. Kind of felt bad for Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks a little bit. They got dismantled on both sides of the ball.
I like Shane Beamer. I don't have any reason to dislike the guy.
No.
Seems like a good coach. I know he had him playing pretty well last year, given what he's had. This was complete domination, like you said, by Georgia, offensively, defensively. Although I think South Carolina did win the special teams battle. They had a really nice fake punt, a better throw by the punter than almost everything Rattler did. One concerning thing for Georgia is they lack a good pass rush, but they were always in the backfield, just not making sacks.
Right.
So that might be an issue down the line. Or maybe they're trying to protect some of these young linebackers by not blitzing too much. So kind of something to look at and monitor going forward. But, complete domination, like you said. Great team effort.
Brock Bowers.
Everybody got in the game. Brock Bowers looked awesome.
Carson Beck looked pretty good.
He did. He threw a nice touchdown pass. A true freshman tight end, Oscar Delp. So they just keep rolling.
Yep, and isn't Eric Gilbert out again?
Yeah, I heard he kind of has some personal things going on, so not going to say anything there, but hopefully he works them out.
Yeah. Clearly the best team in the country. Number 2, Alabama knocks off Louisiana Monroe 63-7. We didn't see any of this game, but
I watched a little bit of it this morning. They looked like Alabama. I mean, complete anomaly in week 2. What was it, week 2 against Texas? In my opinion, I mean, they looked a little sluggish at times yesterday, but Bryce Young is still the best quarterback in the country, and he's just vintage Bryce Young in this game. Has really a couple nice scrambles, including one for a touchdown. Threw the ball well. Did throw 2 picks, but they look just like Alabama of old to me. The whole ranking 2, what Saban's doing with that is like playing the whole disrespect card, and all that. But they look pretty good. They look like Alabama always looks.
All right. Moving right along, Ohio State knocks off Toledo 77-21. Nothing to
Didn't
add.
see any of this game, but I did know that C.J. Stroud and Marvin Harrison Jr. yet had another great game.
Moving right along, Michigan 59 to Connecticut's nothing. Total domination. Quarterback situations resolved.
Yeah, McNamara got hurt, so I know that JJ was a starter. They're bringing in McNamara for a series of 2 to kind of throw the kid a bone. He brought him to the playoffs last year. Although he was more of a game manager last year, let's face facts. But he got hurt, so JJ looked good, but Blake Corum looked really good, 5 touchdowns. They beat the hell out of UConn, which really isn't all that difficult.
Right.
So, they're just rolling along. Number 4 in the country. I was completely wrong about them in preseason.
They're playing well.
They are playing very well. So, I know a lot of my Michigan fans, friends that I have. One of them, which will be down here in just a few short weeks, hanging out with us for a week. He's making me eat crow.
Clemson knocks off Louisiana Tech 48-20. Who's going to beat Clemson?
I thought it was, Miami, NC State might give him a run. North Carolina might give him a run. We'll see. I don't know. That defense is still really, really good. I'm not sold on DJ, but he played pretty well yesterday. And, this was the Ella Strong game. They all had that shirt on from Brian Breese's younger sister passed away this week of brain cancer. So it was good to see them kind of have a nice team win.
Right.
But I don't know. After watching some of the games we watched yesterday, I don't know how Clemson's going to lose in conference.
I don't either.
It's probably going to happen because they're not a dominant team.
Right. But
if they have an off game, somebody can have a really good game and beat them. But I thought there'd be more teams fighting them, and it doesn't look like there's going to be that many teams.
Quarterback play and just converting simple pass plays is just not happening right now. Oklahoma knocks off Nebraska 49-17. Scott Frost, of course, got canned last Sunday.
They just canned the defensive coordinator today.
It's bad. They just got dismantled.
Oklahoma looked good.
They did look good. There's another team that may end up running the table because I don't know anybody who can actually beat them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long season, 12 games. There's bound to be a slip up. There always is a slip up. Oklahoma seems to lose one game a year, like clockwork. Same thing with Ohio State, really. I mean, last handful of years, they've lost at least one game.
Right.
I think there's only one season they were undefeated. It happens. It's bound to happen. Right. You just don't really know when it's going to happen because usually it's an unranked team that knocks them off. Right.
And then you got USC. They win 45-17. Caleb Williams looks great. Addison looks awesome.
Yeah, that dude keeps scoring touchdowns.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is a great quarterback. I mean, it's such an easy transition for him transferring USC because Lincoln Riley left as well. So there's no change for him really, other than a scenery,
right?
And maybe some temperature. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's basically like a flawless transition. So there's no drop off, and he's put some really good weapons around him. Defensively, they're playing a whole lot better than everybody anticipated. And much like Oklahoma, you start thinking of who's going to knock off USC. But in the Pac-12, there's some good football teams. Washington's playing really good right now. Utah's playing good. Oregon, after what happened in week 1 against Georgia, they've surged. Bo Nix has looked like the good Bo Nix the last couple of weeks.
Been written off for dead, and look at him.
Yeah, I mean even UCLA is capable when they put it all together and have a good game of beating them.
Yeah, and UCLA tried to give one away yesterday.
Yes. But I still think USC. I picked them in the beginning of the preseason, whatever, to win that conference. I still predict that to happen.
Oklahoma State does what Oklahoma State does, 63-7.
I'm just waiting for them to lose that one game that they always lose.
They always do. Kentucky 31-0 over Youngstown State. And here's another interesting game of the day. Missouri State against Arkansas. Missouri State went up 17-0 against Arkansas and gave them everything that Arkansas wanted.
And Arkansas still pulled it out. Got some great play by Jefferson down the stretch there in the second half. What was it? The coach, Missouri State,
Petrino.
Bobby Petrino. It was kind of funny seeing him on the sidelines over there going against Arkansas, given what happened in that situation years ago. But, yeah, great game by Missouri State. I mean, they played very well. Arkansas just, like you expect the number 10 team in the country to do against an unranked opponent when you happen to get down is make the comeback and then complete the comeback and win fairly easily, and they did that.
Your superior talent takes over the game, and that's how they won. 21 points in the fourth quarter.
We watched a good bit of this game.
Yeah. It was good. It was an exciting game. They had their chances. Missouri State could have stayed in this game. They,
they ran the ball well.
Yeah.
But Arkansas will let you do that because they play that weird 3-down lineman, and then they drop 7 guys, 3-down lineman, like a linebacker. They drop 7 guys. You can run on them, and a few teams exposed them last year by doing that. But they came back. Give them credit.
Washington looked really good against Michigan State. They're unranked at the moment. I don't see them being unranked at the end of the day. They won 39-28 at home. In a dominant performance.
Man, talk about crap in the bed. Washington's a good football team, like you said. Michigan could go in there, win, even though against an unranked team, and that's still a pretty good road win. I saw a stat where Michigan State's 0-6 in their last road games against Pac-12 teams. But Michigan State's a good football team. Their secondary is kind of atrocious after watching this game. We watched a good bit of this game as well. Penix for Washington, the Indiana transfer, looked really good throwing the football. Michigan State had no answer for that air attack and couldn't really get any kind of comeback going on. They couldn't run the football, couldn't pass the ball. They just looked completely out of sorts. Really disappointed because I had high expectations for Michigan State this year. And I still maintain my stance all along. The Big Ten needs to completely change their conference alignment. You've got, it's Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State, and Penn State all in that one side, if I'm not mistaken. Michigan State might be over. I don't have it in front of me, but I think they're all on that one side. And so you end up getting teams like that with 3 losses playing in that conference title game.
Another interesting game. Before the game started, I was thinking BYU's got a chance to do something this year. And, of course, they lose to Oregon in Eugene, 20-21. Again, a good performance. 41. Good performance by Oregon today.
Yeah, I mean,
they got it done.
Look, what we saw with Oregon. What happened to them against Georgia? Could it be the case that Oregon's a pretty decent football team? Should be ranked, between 15 and 25. But maybe they just went up against a really elite team in Georgia, like a buzzsaw, and got destroyed. That's a possibility. I thought BYU was better after it had beating Baylor the week before, missing their 2 starting wide receivers. But Oregon put it on them. I mean, Bo Nix looked awesome in this game. I think he threw for 2 TDs, ran for 3, something like that. Had a huge game. And, honestly, I was shocked. I thought Oregon was going to be complete trash. But they're 2-1. They look really good in the last couple games. Dan Lanning's got them believing.
Moving right along, Miami versus Texas A&M last night. 9 o'clock start. We watched this whole game. Texas A&M won 17-9. Miami had so many chances to win this game. It was ridiculous. I've seen some bad football, but there were opportunity after opportunity. Miami just could not capitalize on this game.
No, Miami's wide receivers couldn't catch the ball. When the quarterback, who I thought looked terrible, Van Slyke, and he was like Todd McShay, like his third best QB in this draft, and I'm thinking, okay, this dude throws off his back foot constantly. Unbalanced throws, sidearm throws, looking down guys the entire time, overthrowing, underthrowing. He looked like complete dog shit. And I'm thinking, how is this guy the third best quarterback in the country? Yes. But I had high hopes for Miami. Texas A&M didn't play all that good. No. They're still not there offensively. Defensively, that kid Knighton from Miami ran the football well. They had wide receivers open. Yeah. They just couldn't catch the football when thrown to them.
This is a game.
Miami's not ready for that big stage. Night game at Texas A&M at College Station. Big matchup between 2 ranked teams. A win could really solidify Miami's place on the map, where people would be saying Miami's back, and Miami just had a terrible performance, and it really was never in doubt, in my opinion. Once they muffed the Georgia transfer, Tyreek Stevenson, once he muffed that punt, I was kind of like, oh, it was 3-3 if I'm not mistaken at that time, and I'm like, that's going to be the game changer. Yeah. And it basically was.
Yeah, again, I just thought the gameplay was not that great, and Miami may be a year away.
Yeah, and they missed a couple of easy field goals too.
Yeah, they gave this game away, in my opinion. Texas A&M, they needed the win. I just don't know what they're going to do. They got the meat of their schedule coming up, and
they play Arkansas next week.
Yeah, they're under the gun already. So moving right along, Utah knocked off San Diego State 35-7. Tennessee, game day will be going there this week. 63-6 against Akron. We're going to find out what Tennessee can do next week.
Yeah, I don't really think Tennessee's been truly tested yet. I don't think Pitt's that good of a football team. Struggled with West Virginia. We've kind of seen what West Virginia looked like last few weeks, although they won fairly handily yesterday. Tennessee's got Florida. Florida basically tried to give the game away to South Florida last night, and it had to be a real bad muff snap to save their ass. But Florida and Tennessee, that's a huge rivalry. Both teams are going to be amped up. It's in Neyland Stadium. Those crowds are going to be bananas.
You're going to hear Rocky Top a lot.
Oh, yeah. So put the game on mute if you're going to watch it. I think Tennessee is going to beat the hell out of them. I really do. I think they're going to beat them by about 15, 20 points because Anthony Richardson's hot garbage if he's not running the football. Tennessee's offense is going to be tough to stop because I don't think Florida has that enough. Outside of Brenton Cox, who was dominant yesterday, despite the fact that he's just a trash person, he was a dominant player yesterday. Outside of him, I don't see too many really good athletes. Gervon Dexter is a good defensive lineman. I don't know if their star linebacker is going to be back from injury or not. Right. They got a few decent DBs, but I just think what Heupel's going to throw out there on the field at Florida, I don't think Florida can handle it. Yeah. But it should be a really good game and a good test for both teams.
Right. Brenton Cox took over the game in the fourth quarter.
He did.
That last drive, he totally dominated.
Even plays where they made the play, South Florida made the play. Yeah. Brenton Cox was in there.
When it mattered, he showed up. NC State knocked off Texas Tech 27-14. I remember watching some highlights yesterday, and NC State was just scoring on Texas Tech at will at one point. But anyway, moving on along. Baylor 42-7 against Texas State, getting a good win there.
After losing last week at BYU. They come back, had a nice rushing performance.
Yes.
Ran the football very, very well in their 2 wins.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about Florida against South Florida.
That was so bad. More interceptions from Anthony Richardson. They finally said, they get down there. He threw a couple picks. They get down. They go all the way down the field. He throws a pick in the end zone. And then next time they get the ball, they're like, screw this. We're not messing around. Hand the ball off like every time. And they score a touchdown, which eventually was the winning touchdown.
Yeah, Florida won 31-28 in the shootout. Wake Forest, 37-36. That's against Liberty. And they get
Wake Forest 3-0. They're still not going to contend Clemson. So whatever.
They're going to get embarrassed at some point in time. Ole Miss dominated Georgia Tech 42-0.
Zach Evans with another big game. The one-time Georgia commit who did something which nobody knows. He did something to make Georgia pull a scholarship. Deion Sanders pleaded with Zach Evans during that Under Armour game, All-Star game, high school All-Star game, for a second chance, which from what I had heard, it was like the third or fourth chance, and ended up having to go to TCU and played pretty well, and now he's transferred to Ole Miss, and he's looked really good the first 3 weeks of the season. And I listened to Josh Pate's Late Kick podcast, and he thinks he's going to be the SEC's leading best running back, which he's looking like it thus far.
Texas knocked off Texas San Antonio 41-20. That was a close game early, but Texas pulled away in the later.
Yep. Once they started handing the ball off to Bijan Robinson, everything kind of looked up from there for him.
Penn State went down to the Plains 41-12 against Auburn in a dominant performance. Penn State looked good.
They did. There was Penn State fans all over town here, spending a few nights here while making the easy drive down to Auburn from where we live here in Georgia. Right. So Penn State fans, they went down in droves. Heard it on Thursday night. There was a ton of them in downtown Auburn. So they got to see their team win in
SEC country.
Yeah, in SEC country and basically in dominating fashion, 41-12. Clifford looked good. The running backs looked good. Defense looked really good. Auburn's not a good football team, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. I mean, they're really bad. However, we've been there. Jordan Hare is not an easy place to play, even when they suck and you're really good. I mean, it gets loud. Very, very strange things seem to happen in Auburn's favor there, like miracle type of crap. But Penn State weathered the early storm. They went up 7-3, and Auburn was driving, and then turnover. So they weathered an early storm by Auburn, and Auburn couldn't do anything else. And for some reason, they just decided not to give the ball to Tank Bigsby all that much yesterday.
I don't know why they're not featuring him more.
I don't know. He needs to touch it 30 times a game.
Yes. Yeah. Pittsburgh knocked off Western Michigan 34-13. Some other games to talk about. There's the Appalachian State Troy.
Yeah. After that huge win at A&M, they almost lose. I do a crazy Hail Mary to win. We saw the highlights of that. We watched Game Day from Boone, and that seemed like a really cool atmosphere. The kids got really excited about it. I heard 3 kids won college tuition for a whole year by doing like funny signs. So, I mean, good for Appalachian State. And I want to give Penn State a little more credit, too. I know I haven't been high on them, and I've kind of dogged them out a little bit. In the off season, right before the season started. That was a good win. Coming all the way down to Auburn, Alabama, and beating them, even though Auburn's a bad football team, that's still saying something. And the way they did it, too, they could have just taken the foot off the gas and won, 30-12 or 28-12, which would have been kind of a Big Ten type of game. They mashed the gas and put in a few more scores.
Yeah, a respectable finish for Penn State. You talk about next week's games?
Yeah, we'll run through, see if we got anything good.
Let's see.
And I don't really even look at the schedule until we do these things. There's only a couple of games I even know about before we even look at these. So this is all like kind of new to me and surprising. I'm surprised we see this.
Yeah. So we got West Virginia, Virginia Tech Thursday night, which might be an interesting game.
Oh, we finally got a good Thursday night game.
Yeah. You also got Georgia State and Coastal Carolina. Yeah, you can go
Coastal
that game.
Carolina's not half bad.
No, that's $6. We could ride up to the stadium.
Chanticleers.
Yeah, we could ride up there for $6 and watch the game from the upper deck in Old Turner Field. Friday night, Virginia against Syracuse for $9. We can go up to Syracuse and watch that game. 7 o'clock.
That'd be a pretty decent game. Syracuse pulled out the win, coming from behind late in the game to win against Purdue. The Boise State UTEP game, I'll probably watch that because I just love watching Boise State play football. I know they're not good anymore. I just still like watching them play. Yeah. Their QB's been there forever. He's a 4-year starter. And so that's at 9. We'll be at home. We're not going to the game next Saturday, so unless something comes up.
Yeah. Well, we can get a ticket to go be at Sanford Stadium next week.
I'm not going to say never. There could be a situation this week where somebody texts us and say that they've got some tickets, and I say let's just ride up.
You go ahead and go. I'm taking the weekend off.
The weekend off.
Yeah. Michigan's taking on Maryland at noon Saturday. It'll be at Michigan Stadium, so that's interesting.
Clemson, Wake Forest. There we go. Yeah. A ranked game
at noon.
So sorry, Clemson and Wake Forest fans.
Yeah. Who else we got? Pittsburgh's taking on Rhode Island.
My alma mater. Let's go, Rhodey.
Yeah.
Baylor, Iowa State should be a pretty decent game. I still love Campbell. I know that Iowa State's not what they were, but I still pull for Matt Campbell.
Yeah. Missouri's taking on Auburn.
Basically flip a coin who's going to win that game. I don't think it really matters.
Duke, Kansas. I think that's the battle of the undefeated.
Yeah, Kansas is looking good. Yeah. The quarterback's doing a lot of running, and he's looking good doing it. Yeah. South Florida, Louisville. Louisville had a heartbreaker. So did South Florida yesterday.
Game of the week, Florida against Tennessee.
3:30. College game day will be at Neyland Stadium.
$200 you can get a ticket right now. So that's pretty crazy. That's been a while since you can go ahead to spend $203 and get a ticket to get into Neyland Stadium.
Notre Dame at North Carolina. We watched Notre Dame yesterday, and it was a snoozer. Holy crap, are they bad at football? Dude was talking about how great Notre Dame's tight end was, and I was like, this dude wouldn't get on the field. With that tight end room that Georgia has, because he was comparing their tight end. He's a big Notre Dame fan. He's comparing Notre Dame's tight end, who's a good player, really good player, could be a high draft pick, but he's not Brock Bowers.
No.
And he was the guy was kind of comparing the two, and I was just being polite and smiling and thinking this is total garbage. But they're playing North Carolina at North Carolina. North Carolina doesn't play defense, remember. But they put up a boatload of points. Notre Dame can't score.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that North Carolina's going to roll Notre Dame. And because it's Notre Dame, the mystique and the name factor, North Carolina are going to storm the field. I'm banking it. They're going to storm the field.
We'll see. Michigan State takes on Minnesota.
Michigan State has to bounce back.
Yeah.
Absolutely has to.
I agree. Cincinnati takes on Indiana. Appalachian State takes on James Madison.
So tune in. You never know what you're going to see.
Yeah.
Appalachian State has had some crazy games this year.
They've played 3 of the most exciting football games I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. So we might have to tune into that. It's on ESPN Plus.
Oregon takes on Washington State. After the big loss to Georgia, they've bounced back.
Yeah, they bounced back looking good. They got to travel to Pullman, Washington, which is never easy.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be a couple of times at 4 o'clock. Yeah, we might tune in, watch that.
We got a Georgia Tech versus UCF game at 4. That might actually be an interesting game.
Oh, that means I got to pull for Gus Malzahn, doesn't it? That sucks. I'm just going to pretend that game's not on.
Cal against Arizona. Cal's got some good receivers. Other than that,
there we go. Game of the night. We got an afternoon. So this is basically going to be a good SEC slate.
Yeah.
At least for TV slot times with Florida at Tennessee 3:30. Then 7 o'clock you got Arkansas at A&M. Man, A&M's kind of getting a little bit lucky with some of these night home games.
Yeah, that's a big game. They can right the ship. They can take care of Arkansas.
See, to me, this is a better matchup. And everyone was talking about yesterday about the time slots. Florida Tennessee is not as good as on paper as good of a game as this. This is 2 ranked teams.
Right.
So is Florida. I think Florida's ranked. So Tennessee Florida would be a 2 ranked team matchup, but it's a big rivalry where Arkansas A&M is not that huge of a rivalry. So they're putting Tennessee Florida at the SEC slot, 3:30 CBS, which is the first pick.
Yeah.
And then this is the second pick, the night game. That's going to be a great game to watch.
Bama's got Vanderbilt, and that should be a snoozer.
Oh, wow. Wisconsin at Ohio State.
Maybe one of these days, Wisconsin's actually going to put it together with their Graham Martz and do some things. We've been hearing about him for years. And
they won yesterday. I just don't really see it. I think it's going to be a bloodbath.
Probably so.
But, I mean, look, at least Ohio State's playing at night because I know a lot of their fans like them at noon, which I don't understand.
Oklahoma's got Kansas State 8.
Boston College, Florida State kind of maybe interesting.
USC, they'll be exciting again against Oregon State at 9:30. And that's really, well, you got Stanford, Washington.
Go Washington Huskies. I hate Stanford.
Yeah, so, I mean, you got some decent games.
Yeah. There's going to be a good game at all three of the major time slots. Your noon kick's going to have a decent game. Your 3:30 and your 7:30.
Right.
All three of the major time slots for college football are going to have at least one really good game on it. And, of course, it's college football. We all know the game we're not paying attention to, we're going to get a phone notification late in the fourth that somebody's on upset alert, or it's like 66-65 with 30 seconds left to go in the game, something like that we'll have to tune in. But, yeah, we got some decent games last week. I don't think it's as strong as a slate as it was this weekend.
And we thought this week was not that great.
No.
But, you know, it is what it is. We're still in the early season. A lot of these teams hadn't even started their conference play yet. But they'll get into that this week coming up and the following week. And then we'll be in October. And then God knows what's going to happen after that. All right. Well, I guess that closes this week's episode.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have a good day.
See ya.